So much, Ian. Oops. It's an honor to be part of the team, and I'm pleased to be back here this evening. Okay, so good evening, everyone. Again, I'm delighted for the opportunity to be able to guide the practice this evening. And before we get started with the actual meditation, I'd like to spend a few minutes to introduce the topic for today, which is healthy emotions. So we all know that suppressing or denying our emotions is not a good thing. And the more comfortable we are in managing and expressing our emotions, the more capable we are to deal with emotions of those around us. And I am paraphrasing Ian. If you have listened to the introduction track in the app, you might recall that he touched on that point in different words. So as Ian Gawler mentioned in the introduction track in the Alleviate app as well, our emotions are often a result or a response of the stories that we tell ourselves in our own minds. So in addition to practice, which we're going to do shortly, a few things that we can do in order to better manage our emotions. So one thing is to notice what are the stories that we're telling ourselves in our minds. So that's one thing that we can do. Another strategy, if you like, or tactic, is to seek stories that trigger a positive or constructive emotions, such as hope, optimism, gratitude, and joy. Of course, those emotions, as we know, they are good for our health and they support our immune system and our recovery for those recovering from ill health. So another thing we can do is to make an effort to let go of the stories that do not serve us, or the stories that sometimes we tell ourselves and that can lead to disturbing emotions. And last, not least, I personally believe that is a really good thing to do. It is to notice our own language and remind ourselves that we are not our emotions. Although sometimes it feels like we are. Our emotions, they come and go. They are impermanent and they pass through us. So in terms of the language, a very dear teacher that I have used to say, instead of saying I am angry, you can, use, even if it's just a mental note, there is anger. It's very different. It can help us to detach somehow of the emotions that we're experiencing. But let's practice together, and let's have a look on a practice that can help us to manage and experience healthier emotions. So welcome. Let us begin by taking a few moments to settle into our posture. Sitting in a chair will work well, or you might like to do this exercise lying down. And if you need to, take a few moments to adjust your body. The back is upright as your body is comfortable. And you probably find it's best to have your feet flat on the floor, just a little apart. Then you might like to lean back a little and feel the support from the back of the chair. Hands resting on the lap or simply cupped. Just notice what works best for you. And then when you're ready, you might like to join me and let your eyes close gently. Now remember your intention, a gentle reminder to yourself that you are doing this guided exercise to help yourself, in particular for balancing your emotions. And then aim to let go of any effort, any striving to make something particular happen. Just being relaxed and curious and observing what happens as you follow the guidance. Now imagine if they were sitting in front of you, the person in life who has loved you the most, the person in life who showed you loving kindness. Recall this person and that feeling of being loved, cared for. If think of such a person is not easy, maybe a special pet you have known. Now remembering then how they looked and the feeling of their acceptance, their love, their warmth. And sit with recalling what that was like. Giving yourself over to any feelings just as you experience them naturally. And as you do so, feeling any love that rises in your heart. Visualizing now this love in the form of light, a warm white light. And see this warm white light coming from the heart of the person who has loved you, that person sitting in front of you, like a gentle beam of white light, like from a lighthouse. And steadily that light becoming stronger and brighter. And glowing more and more in your heart. Eventually, this light filling your own heart completely. Before flowing out and gradually filling your entire body. So that your whole body is now glowing with warm white light. perhaps even wrapping around you like a blanket. And as you feel yourself filling with the warmth and comfort of this radiant light, you can imagine broadcasting it from your heart back to the heart of the person who really loved you. And so letting that light radiate back to them. And in your mind's eye, you see them too becoming filled with the gentle, warm, white light. Getting brighter and brighter, just like turning up a dimmer switch. Gradually filling the entire body. Imagine them glowing with radiant, warm, white light. And then radiating it back to you from their heart. Then you continue this back and forwards flow of the white light until you have the sense that both of you now are filled with white light, full of loving kindness, full of wishes that all be well and happy and safe. Now, imagine a neutral person in your life, a person who you know somewhat casually, but who you know well enough to bring to mind. And imagine that they were sitting on the right of that person who really loved you. And as you imagine that now in front of you, have the intention to also send to them those same feelings of loving kindness in the form of warm white light. So now, recalling that person who loved you, rekindling, remembering the feelings of loving kindness you felt from them. Imagining your whole body filled with warm white light. And as that white light within, you become brighter and brighter. You naturally radiate the light, seeing the light going from your heart to the person who has loved you, and seeing then filled up with the gentle, warm, white light. Becoming brighter and brighter, just like turning up a dimmer switch. Gradually filling the entire body. Imagine both of you now glowing brilliantly with warm white light. Now radiating it out like a searchlight, a gentle beam of light that travels from your heart to the neutral person's heart, mentally wishing them to receive whatever they need to be content, to be peaceful and happy. Feeling the neutral person's heart with the same warm white light flowing out from your heart and filling their entire body. So eventually, their whole body is glowing with warm white light. Resting in these feelings for a few moments. Now, think of a person who has been difficult in your life. You do not need to choose the most difficult person. It could be someone who just irritates or annoys you. Just choose someone challenging enough, whoever comes to mind. Simply imagine this person as if they are sitting there in front of you on the right of the neutral person. So there they are. And whatever feelings are aroused by doing this, just notice that. Maybe you notice yourself tightening up a bit, or feelings of wanting to protect yourself or push them out of your mind. So aim to simply relax your body and give this natural reaction some space. And then recall the person who has loved you, the warm glow of their care coming to your heart, filling it completely with white light. And look again at the difficult person. And now, when you are ready, draw upon this white light once again. And this time, project the light to the person who has been difficult. See the light go into this difficult person like a beam of light flowing into their heart, filling their heart, and gradually their whole body with warm white light. So eventually, they too become radiant with light. Returning as you wish to the person who has loved you and reestablishing the flow of white light from their heart to you, and then sending the light to the difficult person with the wish that they be safe, they be well, they be content. loving kindness. Now, continue to alternate between the three people until the white light is glowing evenly in all three of them. And now simply rest with the feelings of loving kindness, almost as if you are absorbed in those feelings and the presence of the white light. And now move your feet a little, your hands a little. And then when you're ready, at your own time, just let your eyes gently open again.
Thanks, Natalie. It might be worth just having a little conversation around that exercise. And I might just say to people who haven't done it before that sometimes it can generate quite strong emotions. Sometimes the emotion can come by imagining the person who's loved you the most. And certainly over years, I've had experience of people who found it difficult to think of a person who's loved them the most in life, which can be quite tough to actually realise when you're invited to do an exercise like that. And for others, it might be that the person you feel that's loved you the most, that person's actually died or is no longer with you. And so that can create a difficult emotion. And ideally, what happens is that the person, you imagine the person who's loved you the most in life, and you do get that really warm, generous, open-hearted feeling that comes with being in the presence of somebody who does love you unconditionally. And what I'd suggest to you is that if any of those emotions come, including the last one, where it's just really nice to bask in the memory and the presence of somebody who has really loved you openly and warm-heartedly, if any of those emotions come, then the exercise is almost sure to be worth doing again. And also, sometimes with a neutral person, it can be surprising that either there is or there isn't emotion. And clearly, when you think of somebody who's been difficult in your life, the initial emotions that can come up with that person can be quite challenging. And again, if that difficult person produces difficult emotions in an exercise like we've just done, then it's a pretty sure indicator that you've got, or you'll benefit from doing the exercise more repeatedly and actually working your way through that. Because what an exercise like this does, it gives you the opportunity in the comfort of your own home and in the comfort of your own headspace to actually work on emotional relationships with other people, and in the process of that with yourself. So I'd really encourage you that sometimes I've had the experience where people have done this exercise and they had an emotional reaction or no emotion actually, and were surprised by what happened, and either disappointed or felt like something wasn't as it should be. I would encourage you that if you did get some sort of strong reaction, that you repeat the exercise. And I think with these sort of exercises, and you know, there's a variety of them on the app. We've sort of used some of the old exercises like this one that's been around for a long time, and we've actually generated some new ones specifically to meet the needs that we're trying to cater for on the app. But when you try these different exercises that are on the app, you'll find that you just get an inner sense of which ones are worth doing more frequently and which ones you might just do occasionally or don't really speak to you in any useful way. And I think with this one particularly, the invitation that comes from this exercise is if it does actually generate quite a strong emotional response. And if that's the case, then it's probably worth doing it regularly. And if you have the sense, if you have the feeling that this exercise is worth doing, then I'd really encourage you to do it reasonably regularly for a period of time. With any meditation exercise that's new, and so for those who haven't done this exercise before and have a sense that it'd be good to repeat it, if you're going to do it again regularly, it's probably worth aiming to do it for a few weeks as a daily practice. And you'll find that by doing that you actually become familiar with the exercise. So particularly if it's new for you, you'll get used to how it works. And for those of you who might have done it a few times, if you're repeating it, the thing to do is to approach each time you do this exercise like other meditation, but particularly with this one, as if the next time you do it is a completely new experience, which it will be, of course, but this is a sort of exercise you can almost become mentally complacent with, or maybe we could say as well, emotionally complacent. You just sort of go through the motions. And really the invitation of this exercise is to go into your emotions and to become more comfortable and more flexible, more fluid, more at ease with your emotions. So the aim is to actually go into the emotions, is to actually generate the emotions, to allow yourself to feel them, to sort your way through them and come to an easy place with them. And the nice thing about this exercise is if you at any stage feel distressed with it, go back to the person who's loved you most and go back to that feeling, which is sort of like a safety net in a sense. It was also nice to do this exercise this week after we had our first healing meditation last week, which we've had a lot of good feedback about. And you'll remember, for those of you who were there, we used that similar device of the white light in the healing meditation. And so it's a very good technique to visualize connecting yourself here with other people and emotional states that they engender through that device, which it is. It's a mental trick, if you like. It's a mental device. It's a way of actually affecting this sort of emotional connection. So yeah, using that white light works really well. And Nathalie, I just wondered, I hope you don't mind my curiosity, but all of us who come from particular cultural backgrounds tend to characterize others. And I come from a very English sort of background in my sort of ancestry. And we're not exactly known for our emotional range, the old English. And in Europe, we tend to contrast with the Italians, who tend to be out the other end of the pole. And I think I know that, if you don't mind me saying, you come from a Brazilian culture, and you probably rank with the Italians, I think, in the global perception of having fairly fluid emotions. And I wondered if you wouldn't mind just commenting on your own experience of, growing up and then becoming a meditator, and how that's been with your own emotional life.
Oh, wow. I think we need a whole session for that, Ian.
Yeah. I thought it'd be an interesting note to finish on, if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course.
Just briefly.
Can say a few words, because interesting fact is that although I'm Brazilian, I'm half Belgian, so I have a little bit of that European blood that makes up things a little. But
well, and also we characterize people, don't we? So I imagine there probably is an Italian Italian or two that doesn't have a lot of emotional range, and I'm sure there's probably an Englishman or two, woman or two, that's got volatile emotions. But you know what I'm talking about.
Yes. Yeah, good questioning. I think mindfulness helped me to be able to express, especially not the not so positive emotions, more wisely. I think naturally, because of circumstances in life, I used to be the one, actually, despite of being Brazilian and stereotypically, expressive. I used to, full disclosure here, don't mind, used to be more towards the shutting down versus expressing.
Okay.
And mindfulness helped me, actually, with the practice over the years, really helped me to express in a healthy manner and have greater awareness of emotions, which is something that you touched on the app. And yes, and if I can add maybe to your comments, I think this is such a beautiful practice we just did, because also, as you mentioned in the app, Ian, it proved to us that we can generate positive emotions at wish, at will. So through remembering the person who loved us, we actually, generating those positive emotions. And of course, we can do the other way around as well. We can, generate not so healthy positive emotions. But I think that's a practice that demonstrates to us that's possible. It's a good reminder, and we can experience that.
Lovely point. Yeah, great point to end on. Thanks, Nathalie, and
you're welcome.
Thanks for sharing a bit personally, putting you on the spot a bit. Thanks. Okay, folks, it's been a lovely session, and I really enjoy that exercise myself. The person who always comes to me is my dear old grandmother, who I was really fortunate. Just seemed to love unconditionally, like grandparents often do, I think. Not the only person who's loved me in life, but she really always comes to mind in that exercise. So thanks, everyone.
Yes, thank you, Nathalie.
And thank you, Nathalie. And we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Lovely. Thanks, Nathalie.
Thanks, Nathalie.